Or would you like to wait for my husband, Mr. Bree? I'm afraid I've no idea how long his meeting will take.
I want him to visit my mother.
What's wrong with her?
Pains.
What kind of pains, Mr. Bree?
Pain. Diarrhea. She gets hot, too.
Feverish, you mean?
Yeah.
What's your mother's name?
Josephine. Bree.
Joseph. And the address?
The cottage, Vale Farm. It's across the first field. You can't see it from the road.
How old is she?
72.
Oh, well, we couldn't expect her to come here then, could we? I'll see that Dr. Martell gets your message.
She didn't want me to bother him, but I'm out at work all day. I work for the gas company.
Yes, I'll tell the doctor as soon as he comes in. Perhaps he'll get out to you this evening, though it may have to wait till tomorrow.
Yes.
It is not tolerable that these thefts from the hospital should put the community at risk.
I quite agree, Major.
I have instructed the Felt Polizei to inquire into it.
Good.
However, there is another matter I wish to discuss. We are pleased to learn that the Controlling Committee has decided to embark on a number of road improvement schemes.
Yes, that isn't my department, Major, actually.
Oh, I think it is. After all, since this will bring a number of people into employment, it should affect their general standard of health, no?
Indirectly, I suppose, yes.
Good. It's an excellent idea. We are enthusiastic to do whatever we can to help, Doctor. Therefore, we've drawn up a list of proposals concerning various road projects which we would suggest need your attention. We have, of course, had the opportunity of observing the condition of roads in all parts of the island.
Well, perhaps you prefer to see that the repairs that you're recommending yourself.
We do not have the available workforce, Doctor, for such improvements.
I'll pass the information on.
Perhaps you would let me have your views when you consider the list.
Yes, I'll make sure someone does, Major. An old woman, I take it?
72, I think he said. We live out at Vale Farm, Daddy, near Long Cress. It's Peter's land.
Oh, yes, I remember. Your father died, didn't he, a couple of years ago?
Yes, that's what he said.
God knows how they manage in that great barn of a place.
He said something about living in a cottage.
Oh? Since when?
Across the first field. I've got it written down.
Oh, I'll try and fit him in this evening.
Well, I did warn him it might not be till tomorrow.
Favoured by the Greeks, loved by the Romans, and totally ignored by the authors of the Holy Bible.
It's the best I could do. We had a proper meal yesterday. Sort of proper.
Windy cabbage. Second only for Flater's production to the bellows, or the bagpipes.
Really, Philip, you're quite disgusting. What did they want at the commandantur this time, eh?
You know, I'm not quite certain. Another little ploy, I suspect. Nothing to do with me, really.
That makes a change.
Well, Major Friedel said how pleased he was to hear that we were doing something about improving the roads.
Roads? Are you?
Thinking about it, yeah. Help with the employment problem, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
He actually gave me a list of roads he thought we should make a start on.
Friedel talked to you about roads? Oh, he's mad.
Oh, I wouldn't say that, Olive. Devious, perhaps, but not mad. Well, I think I'd like your mother in hospital for a day or two, Mr. Bree. Just as a precaution. How frequent have these diarrhea attacks been?
I'm not here during the day. I couldn't say, Doctor.
She's all alone, is she?
Well, I have to go to work.
When did you move in here?
4 weeks ago, the Germans evicted us.
From the farmhouse?
There's 30 of them living in there now.
I see. This place isn't really very suitable, is it? How long had it been empty?
A few years.
Did you protest?
Well, I told Mr. Porteous.
Because it's his property?
Yes, all the land round here, the farm, everything. He said he'd talk to the field commandant.
Yeah. For what good that would do. Your mother wasn't ill Before you were moved, I take it?
Well, she wasn't in bed, Doctor.
Yeah. Well, I'll make the necessary arrangements for tonight, if possible. Otherwise, first thing in the morning.
I leave for work 4/7.
Well, you better warn her not to be surprised if the ambulance chaps turn up while you're out, in that case. What's this?
Water. I get it from the stream.
You don't drink it, do you?
Well, it is running water, Doctor. There's no tap here.
You got a jam jar or something I could take a sample away in, Mr. B? Something clean. You boil it?
Well, it's not easy. We got no cooker. Only that little stove. It's meant to burn coke. But most of the wood I get's too damp. It won't always light.
Well, what do you mean? You're at the gasworks, aren't you? Surely you could get yourself something to burn. What about anthracite dust or coal tar? You're allowed so much of that for that sort of a stove. Oh, you can't use this water, Mr. B. Not as it is, not even for washing. Not unless you boil it first. How do you do any cooking without fuel?
I get bread from the town. Mother eats fruit when I get some.
Is that all? What about you?
I manage.
Well, Mr. B, we have to be careful these days. Living like this, you must be particularly so. Now, listen, please, this is very important. Always boil this water, however difficult that is to do. You must boil it first. And don't eat raw fruit, not even fruit.
But fruit is all that Mother will eat.
Yes, but it should be cooked first, while there's the slightest danger of any bacteria being around the place. You must take care, do you understand? Your mother's probably got nothing more than the enteric problems we've all been having. I'm just being cautious, that's all. Oh, and while she's away, perhaps you can do something about your heating and cooking. Get yourself some proper fuel.
Don't be late, Claire.
No, I won't. I've got to take this, though. I promised Daddy I'd drop it into the laboratory for him.
Well, I'm sure I could have found a cleaner-looking jar.
I don't think it's the jar that's dirty.
Peter! You're an early bird.
Daddy's out.
Oh, perhaps I haven't come to see him.
Oh,
No, on the other hand.
maybe you have.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm late anyway.
Been fishing?
No, I'm just going, if I can find my net.
It's a sample of stream water, I think. Philip wants it analysed. Come in the kitchen.
Will he be long?
I've no idea, Peter. He's got a lot of visits, I know, and I think he's got to see Major Friedel.
When hasn't he?
Really is too much. He's got enough to do without all that committee nonsense.
Yes, well, it's not really nonsense, is it?
Well, you know what I mean.
It's going to be worth my while waiting.
I honestly don't know, Peter. I don't even know if he'll come home at lunchtime. Well, what is it? Can I help?
Oh, well, it's about a tenant of mine, a Mrs. Bree. I gather she's in hospital.
Yes. Philip saw her last night. He didn't say very much. I really don't know what's wrong with her.
I was just wondering if there's anything I could do to help. I feel rather responsible, you see.
Why?
Well, the Germans evicted them a month ago. I couldn't really protest, although Edward Bree asked me to. I mean, the house is much too big for them, and they don't farm the land. They haven't for years. But the mother is quite elderly and frail, you know. She doesn't get about very much.
Yeah. I believe she's deaf, too.
Very. Anyway, the Germans said that the cottage was quite adequate for 2 people. Well, they're right, really. At least they would be if the place was in better condition. Well, I did my best to straighten the place out. Cleaned it, slapped some whitewash around, that sort of thing. But, well, now the old woman's in hospital, I'm beginning to wonder whether I shouldn't have stood up to the Germans a bit more.
Would they have taken any notice?
Well, who can tell? Still.
Not your fault, Peter.
Well, I hope not. That water wasn't from their stream, was it?
I believe it was, yes.
Contaminated?
I don't know. I suppose that's why Philip wanted it tested, to find out.
I'd like to talk to him sometime about the whole thing.
Yes, I'll tell him.
Afraid there's one road we can't undertake to repair, Major.
Oh?
Yes, most of the others we already knew about, and the committee did ask me to thank you for your suggestions.
Which road?
The road to Vale Farm.
To Vale Farm? Mm-hmm. But I understand it's in an appalling state.
I can't disagree with that, Major. I had to go along it myself last night to get to a patient.
So? I don't understand, Doctor.
It leads to an ammunition dump.
That was a temporary sighting. It will very soon be cleared.
All the same, Major, Under Article 52 of the Hague Convention, we are not required to do any work on a project of a military nature.
Doctor, did I understand you to say you had occasion to go along this road last night?
Yes.
To visit a patient?
To get part way towards a patient?
So that wherever else the road leads, it also serves the residents of Vale Farm?
Yes, exactly. And the residents of Vale Farm are now 30 German soldiers. They've been there for a month. Bree and his mother were moved to the cottage across the field at the top of the lane. So I'm afraid we can't repair that road, Major, not while your soldiers occupy the only house actually on it, whether the ammunition dump is there or not.
They said they were stock-taking and that the lab was closed, as if the hospital's got anything to do with the Germans. I just can't stand them. They're oh, well, I don't know, but they glare at you so accusingly. They make me feel aggressive and guilty. I just can't help it.
I know.
They can't keep their noses out, can they?
Well, I couldn't refuse to give it to them.
Of course you couldn't. It doesn't matter.
Surely they only make matters worse by being so petty. They
They're
must
not
see
being
that.
petty, Olive. There have been so many thefts at that hospital. Something has got to be done about it.
Well, why can't our own police be left to handle it?
Because there may be Germans involved, for one thing. As there were when the sulphur jugs were taken.
Daddy, that was their own military hospital. What business are they in ours?
So what about the sample?
Well, they said that they would send you the analysis as soon as it was done.
Yeah.
I had to give them all the details. I'm sorry.
No, it doesn't matter. No, I'd have preferred the analysis to have been done on the QT, obviously. It would have given us something to back our arguments with if the results had been positive. Well, it's on the cards, Olive. The water engineer's been telling them for weeks, and the Vale Farm area is exactly the sort of place it would happen to.
What could happen?
I was simply trying to avoid a scare, at least until there was proof of anything to be scared about. There may not be, of course.
But what?
In that water. Sewage contamination.
And how is she now?
Recovering.
Good.
It was not serious, then?
Well, not too serious, no. It was weakening for an old woman in her condition.
Yes, of course. Did you suspect any specific illness, Doctor, when you had her admitted?
Well, it could have been dysentery. One or two of her symptoms did suggest
was
that.
not.
Fortunately not, no.
Sit down, Doctor.
Well, I had hoped we'd keep this very brief.
If you please. Was it because of suspected dysentery that you had the water analysed?
No, not entirely.
Tell me if I'm wrong, Doctor. Dysentery spreads through infection, does it not? When infected people handle food and so on, is that not so?
Well, it thrives certainly where standards of cleanliness are poor.
And the cottage where this old woman lives is a standard of cleanliness poor?
Very.
I understand Mr. Porteous had the place cleaned before Bree and his mother moved in.
Yes, the cottage had been neglected for some years, Major. It's in a very bad state of repair. It is difficult to keep free from dirt. No, Major, I had the water analysed because the only source of water to the cottage is a stream that runs across a field quite close to the farmhouse cesspool.
So you were looking for typhoid fever?
I was looking for contamination.
But why was the water being analysed without any kind of documentation, Dr. Martell? And it's not the usual procedure.
Had I taken the sample into the hospital myself, there would have been.
Then why didn't you?
Oh, good heavens, do I have to explain my...
Any threat to the health of the islanders is a threat to the health of my men.
I am perfectly well aware of the threat
German
to the
medical
islands
staff
and to everybody
immediately.
else. There is no point in notifying disease before it exists. Had the sample indicated the slightest presence of contamination, of course I would have notified
explain why
everybody
your
involved.
daughter was
My
involved,
daughter?
unless, of course, you were trying to conceal something.
My daughter was not involved, as you put it. You're making an unnecessary issue out of this. I was simply attempting a shortcut. Admittedly, there was no attempt at concealment.
Very well.
God heavens, what I mean, as my daughter works at the hospital,
Thank
was
you,
going in, it
Doctor.
seemed a perfect...
Perhaps you will see to it that all proper forms and requisitions are completed in future, Doctor, however short the cut.
May I go now?
You say that this stream runs close to the farmhouse cesspool, so that any leakage from the cesspool would almost certainly contaminate the stream.
That's exactly what I have been saying.
Might it also contaminate the supply to the farmhouse?
Of course, that is quite possible.
Then that supply must be analysed too, immediately.
The doctor's analysis showed no contamination.
Nevertheless,
Right, and while we are on the subject, I won't apologise for repeating the water engineer's point. I know he's written to you several times about it. There are grave dangers on the island due to the overcrowding. The entire water supply system, drainage, sewage disposal, it is all being very severely strained, particularly in places like Vale Farm.
Oh, why there in particular?
Because the cesspool was dug originally for a household of 5 or 6 people. There are now 30 of your soldiers living there.
No, all these cesspools should be cleared and inspected regularly.
Which is precisely the request the water engineer has made again and again.
Is there a problem?
I have asked the control.
And we have asked you, Major, for the fuel.
Fuel?
We have insufficient fuel to operate the cesspool carts in the remote parts of the island. If that work is to be done, the petrol quota will have to be increased.
The fuel situation is difficult at the moment.
The health situation could rapidly become impossible, Major.
Home again, love. Oh, not too warm in here, miss.
No.
I'll see if I can get this stove started.
Looks as though he's been doing a bit of hoarding. Better be careful.
Yes, well, I wouldn't blame him, would you?
Well, we'll be off then, Mr. Porteous.
Right. Thanks very much.
Thanks. It's going to be all right, Mrs. Bree. It's going to be all right. Oh, it's just dreadful, Peter.
What?
Well, Daddy should never have discharged her.
Well, what else could he do?
Well, I don't know. Send her to the convent or somewhere. They have old people there.
Yes, homeless old people.
Well, you can't exactly call this a home, can you? I'd better see about making a drink for her.
Well, there'll be no drink for anyone unless I can get this wretched stove to go.
Lying there all day long, frightened.
What? Is she frightened?
Well, wouldn't you be?
Yes, I suppose so.
Unable to hear anything? I mean, it must be so confusing for her. Do you think she has any idea what's going on?
When's Ed will get back?
How soon, I should think. He's gone 6. Oh, I hate them, Peter. I just hate them. How can they do this?
I don't know. It's just the war, I suppose.
No war. Always the excuse.
I'm sorry, I know it's a cliché. What else can I say?
Well, what have these people got to do with war? What has she got to do with war, for God's sake?
Well, can't Mr. Ambrose take care of it? It's his... Yeah. You've tried him, have you? Very well. Yeah, tell him I'll be there. I shall never understand them so long as I live. Never.
There's another one tonight.
Another one.
Wanted. Parents to adopt a baby due in 3 months. Poor little thing. I mean, what sort of life will it have? Everyone will know.
What would you say if it was Claire?
What with the German, Claire? Well, that's one thing you can be sure of.
Do you know what now? They can't leave anything alone, not even their own decisions.
Well, what's happened?
That road scheme.
I thought they approved.
Oh, they did, wholeheartedly. But now I am informed that, owing to the shortages, no more coke is to be made available for use in our steamrollers. Which means, Major, that none of the work the Felt Commandant was so keen we should make a start on can now be done at all. So much for the jobs we were hoping to provide.
It is possible to mend roads, Doctor, without using heavy machinery.
And a few potholes here and there, maybe, but certainly no major repairs, no improvements, no new roads, and none of the widening plans we'd drawn up.
Then the workers you were going to employ on road making can be given the immediate task of clearing drains and cesspools.
What?
I think we agreed that should have priority.
We did not. We agreed that was work that had to be done as soon as we got the petrol.
Am I to understand the controlling committee that you will not build roads and will not clean cesspools?
It isn't a question of will or won't, Major. You know that perfectly well. It is a question of can't. We cannot. Damn it all, man. It is in our own interests to maintain proper water supplies and drainage. We don't want disease here any more than you do.
Well, you've quite finished.
I am sorry, Major, but it is so bloody frustrating. First of all, we get one directive and then another one impression and another one contradicting it. One decision and another one totally different.
The German military government has no desire to frustrate your work or your good intentions so far as the health and welfare of the civilian population of this
I
island
am
is
very
concerned.
glad to hear-
However, it is impossible to guarantee unlimited supplies of everything we need
Guarantee
under present
limited
conditions.
supplies. We don't get any supplies
I have
at all.
said to you before, we suffer as much as you do. Whatever is uncomfortable for the islanders is uncomfortable for us also.
I wasn't aware that we were talking about comfort, Major.
You're taking a very hostile attitude, Doctor.
I am not taking an attitude at all. I am simply stating facts. The controlling committee is doing its best to try to provide employment and maintain a reasonable standard of health, and your prevarication is no help whatever.
There is just enough coal and just enough kerosene on the island to keep the gasworks and the electricity generators going for only 3 months. You are well aware of that.
Yeah, I am also well aware that you said there would be no problem in getting further supplies over from France.
Until those supplies are available, emergency measures are necessary.
Emergency measures are
Perhaps
exactly
we should
what I
continue our
am talking
discussion
about.
later.
We should
Doctor,
have
later!
Emergency...
Will you please go now, Doctor? It is not politic for you to be heard too often, adopting your present manner.
It would control any approach from the north. Yes. Dave!
The decision has just been taken about the site for the next heavy anti-aircraft gun.
Oh, yes.
Near the north coast, on Vale farmland.
Oh, dear. What about the ammunition dump, then? Does that stay after all?
No, neither does the cottage. It'll have to come down.
Well, that's interesting. The landowner has asked to see me.
Oh, Porteous. What about?
I've no idea. He couldn't have heard about the gun site, I suppose.
The decision has only just been taken. Whatever it is, you might suggest to him the possibility of moving the old woman and her son back to the farmhouse.
Back?
The cottage occupies the ideal position for the gun site, but the farmhouse is too far away to conveniently house the crew. We shall have to put up new quarters.
Oh, it's a pity we didn't have time to persuade Martel to improve the approach road first.
We must get something down about the cesspool.
Oh, why, if the men are moving out?
The gun site will have to take water from the stream the cottage has been using.
Ah. Well, that will mean giving the water engineer the petrol he's been asking for.
Some of it, certainly. Although the committee will certainly refuse to service Vale Farm until the troops have gone.
Once they have gone, though, and the old woman is resident again...
Perhaps we should make her return conditional on clearing the cesspool.
I'm here, Major Friedel, to intercede on behalf of some tenants of mine.
Do sit down, Mr. Porteous.
Thank you.
What can I do?
Well, some 40 years ago, this particular family became tenants of my father, in fact. They farmed. Unfortunately, their approach to farming was rather peasant, and the result was that the land hardly supported two of them, let alone three. So, when the son was old enough, he took a job as a labourer with the gas company, where he still works. And when his father died, he tried to keep his job and the farm running, but that proved impossible, and so I absorbed the land into another farm, but let the family stay on in the house, as that wasn't needed.
Are we talking about the present occupants of the cottage at Vale Farm?
You are well informed, Major Friedel.
I am aware the German troops are billeted in the farmhouse.
Yes, well, my tenants were evicted.
I expect you want to talk about the water supply.
Well, not just that, Major. I mean, the cottage is totally unsuitable for the old woman. There's no gas, no electricity, no heating apart from one small coke stove, and fuel for that is... It's a neglected building. Drafty and dirty, not at all the right sort of place for a semi-invalid, which is what she is.
Does this cottage belong to you as well, Mr. Porteous?
Yes, it does.
Which is presumably why you are here, instead of letting the Brees speak for themselves.
Well, Edward Bree is not very articulate, Major, and I do feel rather responsible for them. They've been tenants for such a long time.
Are the Brees dissatisfied about paying rent for the cottage, or are you unhappy at charging them?
I am not charging them any rent at the moment.
Oh, I see. Well, I'm not clear, Mr. Porteous, what it is you expect from me.
Well, quite simply, I'm wondering whether it's possible for you to house these people anywhere else.
You must know that accommodation on the island is very difficult to arrange.
Well, I appreciate that, Major, but you see, the old woman is very much more of an invalid than any of us at first understood. It really is not possible for her to go on living in these third-rate conditions.
Have you an alternative suggestion?
Well, no, I'm afraid I haven't.
What about the nuns? There are 1 or 2 convents with space for elderly infirm people.
Yes, but only for those with no home or relatives on the island.
If the Brees were still living in the farmhouse, you would have no complaint.
No, of course not. It's their home. Well, as I said, they've lived there for many years. I know it's rather large for them, but it's certainly in better condition than the cottage and much more convenient.
Your own house is rather large, of course. Would you have room to accommodate the family there?
My mother is herself an invalid, Major.
Which means, perhaps, that she uses less of the house than she might.
It would not be a convenient arrangement.
No?
No. There would be cooking difficulties. The house is not suitable for sharing. And the Brees are a poor family, Major. They would feel uncomfortable.
Naturally. And so would you, I've no doubt.
What I mean...
I think I understand what you mean, Mr. Porteous. There is another consideration, I take it. If the Brees were able to move back into the farmhouse, you would be able to collect rent once more.
That is quite immaterial.
Is it?
I'm sorry to have taken up so much of your time, Major Friedel.
One moment, please. You say you would have no complaints if the Brees were back in the farmhouse.
Well, no, of course not. I thought that was what we were discussing.
It may be possible to arrange things for you. I'm not entirely satisfied with the accommodation at the farmhouse. The men are rather a long way from our main camps.
Oh.
There is one thing, however.
Yes?
The controlling committee would have to arrange for the clearance of the cesspool at Vale Farm before the Brees would be allowed to take up residence again.
Before?
It is necessary.
But I understood there was some
Once
reason...
the work has been done, Mr. Porteous, I would be prepared to consider your request. But I must stress, the work must be done first. So, if you have any influence...
But I must point out, Major, that if there is a sewage problem at the farm, it's entirely due to the 30 men that have been housed there. Your men.
Whatever you consider to be the cause, Mr. Porteous, the situation remains the same. We have to be vigilant about disease.
Yes, but what I mean is that if your men...
The German occupying forces do not have the machinery or resources available, I'm afraid. Now, if it becomes possible to reallocate the farmhouse for civilian use, I shall let you know at once.
Thank you. You've no idea how long...
Once the cesspool has been cleared, then we shall see.
Very well, I shall hear from you, Major.
When did he tell you this, Peter?
Yesterday afternoon.
They're up to something. They must be. Because, look, I got this 2 days ago from the water engineer. A limited amount of petrol is to be allowed for the use of the cesspool carts. It is strongly recommended that we service Vale Farm first, since the house has been reallocated for civilian occupation.
But Friedel must have known about that all the time.
Of course.
Well, that means that poor old Mrs. Bree will be able to go home.
Ah, will she, though? I don't know.
Why not, if you...
Well, no, Friedel made it quite clear that he would decide whether or not the Brees could go back if and when this cesspool was serviced.
But the cesspool is being serviced tomorrow morning. As far as I know, the troops are already out. Olive, we got a drink we can offer this chap? I think there's some sort of small celebration called for.
Everybody why?
Well, on second thoughts. My God, they're in a strange lot, you know. I thought I had really put my foot right into it last time I was with old Richter. And then having got practically kicked out of his office, we get the go-ahead on the petrol. And now this? The last people we gave this to both died within a week.
Oh, thank you very much.
Cheers.
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 Oh, Mr. Porteous.
I've got some good news, Edward. I've come to tell you that the Germans have left the farmhouse and you can move back.
Oh.
Well, I've been to see the Feldkommandant. It's all agreed.
Thank you.
And the cesspool's been cleared out as well. The Germans haven't done too much damage. Well, Miss Martell and I went and cleaned it out a bit. The place is in quite a good state. So, if you'd like to fix up a time to move, I'll come along and give you a hand. Well, your mother will be pleased.
It doesn't matter, Mr. Porteous.
Sorry?
About moving back, it doesn't matter, but thank you.
What do you mean it doesn't matter?
We'll stay on here.
But you can't.
But we can manage, and Mother's had enough moving about.
Edward, we can't let this go. I mean, it's a small victory in its way. You know what the Germans are like. They don't often give in to requests of this sort. We must take them up on it.
We're all right here.
Well, how can you be all right? I mean, you've got no gas, no electricity. How long's that little bit of coke going to last?
It's a good little stove once you get the hang of it.
I'm sure it is. But nevertheless, I shall come along tomorrow evening and give you a hand moving your mother back to her own house. Right?
No. Thank you.
Look, I'm sorry. But both Dr. Martell and myself have been to a considerable amount of trouble on your behalf, and the Germans have, quite uncharacteristically, agreed to a number of things. We must take advantage of them, otherwise they will be reluctant to consider any other appeals we may have to make. I mean, for God's sake, why should they, if we're going to turn down their compromises?
We don't want to move back, thank you.
Have you asked your mother?
We're staying here. She's all right. It's better leave her where she is. It doesn't do her any good, all this.
Well, your doctor seems to think she would be better off in her own home. Look, if that farmhouse stays empty for any length of time, Bree, the Germans will only requisition it again for something else.
Yes, and if we were living there, we'd get thrown out again, wouldn't we? We're staying where we are. Thank you, Mr. Porteous.
Did you not hear me? I ordered you to stop. Favors? Come. You are a lunatic on that bicycle. I don't care if you get yourself killed. I don't see why you should kill me. Come. Halt! Where are you going?
Home.
What have you in your pockets?
My papers, I showed them to you.
Your coat pockets. The coat is sagging. What have you in the pockets?
Nothing. It's an old coat.
No. What is this?
I work for the gas company. It must have got in there.
Come on.
Where did you get this?
I needed it
What for?
to boil water.
Boil water?
Dr. Martel told me to get some.
Martel.
He said I had to boil the water.
Where did you get it? The use of coke is restricted. It is not available for domestic stoves. Is that what you burn it in? A stove? You could have used wood or anthracite dust with tar. You were taking it home?
I had to boil the water.
What other form of cooking do you have?
None.
Just this stove?
Yes?
A slow combustion stove?
It's a stove, round stove. It's meant to burn coke.
Coke is not available.
Dr. Martel told me to get some.
Told you.
He said I had to boil the water.
There are other ways of boiling water.
He said I had to boil the water and cook all the food. He told me to get some proper fuel.
Did he tell you where to get it? Well?
He said I should get it from the gasworks.
Did he tell you to steal it? Did he tell you to steal?
He said I should get some proper fuel while my mother was away.
Your mother?
He sent her to hospital.
You live at Vale Farm?
The cottage.
You're the man who refused to move.
My mother's too ill to move.
But the doctor has recommended she should be moved.
We don't need to move.
There are fireplaces at the farm. If you go back there, then you won't need to steal coke.
We're all right where we are.
There's also gas at the farm for cooking. How long have you been taking the coke?
He told me to get some.
Did you obtain permission? Did you apply for a special allocation of coke from the proper authorities?
Dr. Martel told me to get some.
From the gasworks?
I worked there.
We must search his cottage.
Yeah.
Where is it? The coke. Where is the coke?
He looks scared here, Oberleutnant.
She knows what we're going to find. Did you make a formal request for a special allocation of coke?
No, of course not.
Or suggest that Bree should?
No.
Even though you knew the cottage had no other form of heating or cooking than this stove?
No, I was perfectly well aware that Bree had enormous difficulties. There's actually no point at all in asking for coke.
Oh?
Oh, we all know what the position is, Major.
But the man insists you told him he had to have coke.
I told him it was essential that he boil the stream water and cook all food.
Neither of which he can do without fuel.
No?
Then did you suggest that he should steal coke from the gasworks?
Is that what he's told you?
I'm asking you, Doctor.
I told him he should do his best to get proper fuel.
Proper fuel?
And when I saw him, he was trying to use damp wood.
The proper fuel for that stove, Dr. Martel, is coke.
Yes, it's a slow combustion stove, Oberleutnant.
So you told him to get coke?
No.
That's what you meant?
I meant that damp wood was useless.
So you told him to get coke from the gasworks?
I do not encourage people to break the law or to defy your regulations.
Even in a case of dire need.
Would you call this a case of dire need, Doctor?
Yes, I think I probably would.
Even so, you did not encourage Bree to obtain coke, whatever the cost.
As far as I remember, the word was never even mentioned.
Word?
Coke. As far as I remember, I told him he should get anthracite dust or coal tar.
What fuel do you use, Dr. Martel, in your own home?
What nowadays? Wood, mostly. A bit of coal when I can get it.
So where do you get this coal?
From the coal merchant.
Not from Bree.
What?
Did you ever buy coke from Bree?
No, of course
Or
not.
trade with him for coke on behalf of other people?
No, I have not.
Has he ever offered you coke?
Look, am I being accused of something or what?
We are simply trying to ascertain certain facts, Doctor.
Facts? You know perfectly well what the facts are. You evicted Bree and his mother from their home. They had nowhere to go but a totally unsuitable cottage with no gas, no electricity, and no mains water. Now, the old woman was quite obviously ill and in need of constant care and attention, and Bree has done nothing but his best to look after her. That is all. That is the only fact worth noting. Major. Now, if he's been taking a bit of coal now and again, who can blame him? I'd probably have done the same thing myself in similar circumstances.
So you knew he was stealing?
No, I did not know he was stealing, but good God, you've been as good as telling me so for the last half hour.
Thank you, Doctor. I'm afraid we have discovered several boxes of coke under the old woman's bed. Bree must have been taking it home for some days.
Ever since I told him to get proper fuel.
Probably.
Well, all I can say is he's only been doing what he thought best for his mother. And to that extent, I suppose I've encouraged him, but he is not a criminal.
It is a criminal offence to steal, Dr. Martel.
If that is what he's been doing.
I don't think there's any argument.
Shouldn't that be for a court to decide?
It is also a criminal offence to be an accessory.
I'm quite satisfied with the doctor's explanation, Oberleutnant. The man Bree is obviously of low intelligence.
All the more reason I'd have thought for treating his situation with some sympathy.
Perhaps.
What I don't understand is why you're dealing with him at all. Why don't you hand the matter over to our police? It's surely their business.
Not entirely. There are fuel control orders in
Fuel
force.
control order? How much has he taken? A few pounds, hardly more. It can't have been a significant amount. He'd never have got away with it.
It is nevertheless a very serious matter.
Yes, that's how you see it, isn't it? Well, all right, if you do insist on arresting the man, would you please let me know? Something will have to be done quickly about his mother.
We have arrested him, Dr. Martel. We have him here now.
How is she?
Been dead some time.
Dead?
Frightened out of her life by the look on her face.
What the hell's been going on?
I don't know.
Who's done all this?
I told Bree he should boil the water and cook his food. It's the only thing in the place that gives off any heat.
Yes, burns coke.
Exactly, and he's been stealing it.
Stealing?
Not much, just enough to stuff in his pockets twice a day.
Why the hell didn't he say something?
Midday and night time, he's bicycled backwards and forwards with as much as he dared carry.
And they've arrested him for that?
It's theft, Peter, yes.
Must have been why he didn't want to move. Didn't want the stuff discovered.
Probably.
Under the terms of the Hague Convention, the civil court is permitted to deal with offences committed by islanders where they do not affect military security or military discipline. Do you understand?
I've done nothing against you.
But where the interests of the German occupying forces are involved, Mr. Bree, the military court must try all relevant aspects of the offence first.
I've done nothing.
You have been charged with violating the regulations concerning fuel control.
I had to have some coke, that's all, just a bit of coke.
Coke is reserved for use in generating electricity.
I had to boil the water, Dr. Martel told me that. He said it had to be boiled. It was bad.
You will be tried in the Felt Commandant's Court for violating fuel control regulations and thereby threatening supplies of electricity to military installations on the island.
I've threatened nobody.
You will then be handed on to the civil court to answer the theft charges. Have you understood me? I am sorry about your mother, Mr. Bree.
What happened?
The Germans sentenced him to 6 months penal servitude.
Oh, poor man.
And the magistrates?
The same.
Just for stealing a few pounds of coke.
They felt they had to make an example of him.
As if he hasn't been through enough already. 6 months in prison.
12 months, are they? The Royal Court is not concerned with the findings of the Germans' court. The bailiff has said that when someone is sentenced by the Germans' court as well as our own, the sentences must run consecutively.
Well, here or France?
France, I'm afraid. You'll always blame me, you know?
Yes, well, a lot of people will blame you for a lot of things when this war's over. You and that committee.
They even fornicate by numbers.
Peter?
Oh, didn't you know? They've taken over that hotel. Stuffed it full of French tarts. It's comforts for the troops.
absolutely disgusting. How typical.
Are you acquainted with the works of Lord Macaulay, Doctor?
Probably not as well as you are, Major Richter, otherwise you wouldn't have asked.
It was he who wrote, very aptly, I think, "We know of no spectacle so ridiculous as the British public in one of its periodical fits of morality."
Major, how do you think we feel having to supply those wretched women in your brothel with heavy worker rations?
But they work very hard, I'm told.
And they each cost us £100 a week.
I told you they worked hard.
Their wages are ultimately debited against our state's reserves. That does happen to be money we need to buy food with.
These establishments are a necessity of war, Doctor.
For which your women should be grateful.
And the girls there, for obvious health reasons, must be examined twice a week by a civilian doctor.
No, I am sorry, Major. The committee will never hear of that. They must be examined by your own army doctors.
These girls are French civilians. They are not the army's responsibility.
And you have the flaming impudence to jeer at British hypocrisy? These women are brought here by you to cater solely and exclusively to the needs of your sex-starved troops, and you say they're not the army's responsibility? Humbug!
The girls are civilians, Doctor. In all other occupied countries, they are treated by civilian doctors. That is the rule, and Guernsey is going to be no exception.
I'm sorry, we will not examine them. They are nothing to do with us.
I'm giving you an order, Doctor.
Then will you give it to the committee in writing?
No. A verbal order is enough. You will arrange for these girls to be examined immediately. The discussion is over, Doctor.
You know, I have a certain sympathy for Dr. Martell.
Yes, and I find this whole business every bit as distasteful as he does. Please don't bother me with it again, Ernst.
We're having a little treat for lunch today. Peter insisted you should come and share it with us.
Oh, that was sweet of him. I am looking forward to it. What is it?
I haven't seen your parents for ages. How are they?
Oh, well, Daddy's rather depressed. Why? Well, the Germans have forced him to look after those girls in that awful place in Ship Lane.
What a sordid lot our conquerors are. And so few of them are gentlemen.
I hate the lot of them.
Surprise, surprise! Pom, 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 pom.
Peter's a chicken!
Yes, one of their lunatic drivers ran over it. It was my burr, but I was damn lucky to get to it before the driver did.
I think I would have enjoyed it more if you had run over it.
That sounds like our new lodger. What perfect timing. Well, he's not having any of this. Excuse me.
What new lodger?
Haven't you heard?
No.
We're to have one of them billeted on us.
No.
Heaven knows who we'll be saddled with.
Herr Porteous,
Yes?
you have a billet for me.
You better come in. Your room is upstairs.
Where exactly?
At the top of the stairs, the door faces you.
Klinsky, take out my bags. Lay out my number 1 uniform, polish my boots.
Yes, Herr Hauptmann.
I do not think I will require this room.
It's not being offered to you.
Who are these ladies?
This is my mother, Mrs. Porteous, and this is Miss Claire Martell.
Hauptmann Freiherr Manfred von Bülow.
Are we to be honoured with your presence for long?
I think not. Do you live here, Fräulein Martell?
No.
Just you and your mother?
That's right.
You're a farmer, I hear.
Right again.
But not a peasant farmer, obviously. How much land do you have?
About 70 acres.
I, too, do a bit of farming, when military duty permits it. I have an estate near Königsberg.
Really?
It's about the size of this place. Guernsey, I mean. I will try not to intrude on you, if you will kindly do the same for me.
I don't believe it, Mrs. Porteous. You've got a German gentleman.
Oh, come on. Let's eat this damn thing before it gets too cold.
Something.
Doctor, have a drink with us.
No, thank you.
Oh, hey, what is this? We don't let him go till he has a drink with us, do we, girls?
Never. Come and sit with us, monsieur. You're our favourite doctor. Much nicer to us than any French doctors.
And much more respectful. And we don't see much of that, do we, girls?
Cognac, Doctor.
Have I seen everyone now?
Oh, yes.
At last, girl.
Chantal? Chantal Lautrec?
Yes, I'd like to see her again.
Oh, la la. He's fallen for our Chantal.
Marie. I understand, Doctor. I will arrange it for you.
Thank you. I think I should send her for a chest X-ray.
You have been looking at her chest?
I am a doctor, madame.
You are a very good doctor. And we are very happy to have you looking after us. Chantal, the doctor would like to see you again.
He's making a fuss because I have a little bit of a cough.
I'll see you at my surgery in the morning.
Of course. Will 11 o'clock do?
10 o'clock, if you don't mind.
That is the crack of dawn for her. Doctor, you have forgotten something.
Oh?
Your fee. 1 mark per girl. That is the set rate. Janine?
Thank you, madame.
Au revoir, Doctor.
Au revoir, monsieur.
Au revoir, monsieur.
Au revoir.
Have you met the new adjutant of 396 Regiment yet?
No.
You've got a treat in store.
Really? Who is it?
Hauptmann Freiherr von Bülow.
Any connection with the great Marshal von Bülow?
Possibly. He behaves as if he were the great von Bülow himself. He's causing me all kinds of headaches.
Oh, why's that?
He wants to set up a battle school at Rocane Bay. I've got to clear about 20 families out of the area, and I can't call on 396 for guard or escort duties.
Well, tell him he can't do it.
I've had orders from OKW to give him every facility he needs.
Have you indeed? Why?
396 is being posted to the Russian front. It's von Bülow's job to get them battle ready. Oh, Commandant, you haven't met Hauptmann von Bülow.
I've just been hearing about you.
I'm a nuisance, I believe. A drink, Herr Commandant?
Thank you.
Waiter! Schnapps, at once!
Did I say you could go? Prost.
Prost.
Fill it. You may go. Things are slack on this island.
That's hardly the front line.
I'm going to give 396 a taste of something like it. For months, they've been doing nothing but sentry duty, curfew patrols, fatigues. That's not soldiering. I'm going to get them wet, dirty, tired, and frightened. And 30 minutes after they come off the battle course, they'll go on parade clean and do 2 hours of infantry drill and do it perfectly. That is soldiering.
Oh, indeed.
I'm not going into action on the Eastern Front with a rabble behind me.
When do you expect to go?
In about 3 weeks. Sooner, perhaps. Who knows? So, I don't have much time. You will have that area closed for me by tomorrow, my fighter.
We'll do our best, von Bülow.
I do believe I see an acquaintance. Obersturmführer Reinecke, isn't it?
Hauptsturmführer Reinecke.
Hauptsturmführer? Whose boots did he lick to get that?
What do you want?
Please, lady, I have the Freiherr's washing to do. Please, where may I do it?
Why are you still here?
I have a lot of work to do.
When do you go back to your billet, then?
I have to wait till the Freiherr comes home.
Why?
Sometimes he drinks too much. I have to take his boots off and put him to bed. Please, lady, I must wash his clothes or...
I know.
He'll beat you or something. I'm sorry for you, having to work for a man like that.
I have been his servant since he left the officers' school at Potsdam, lady. I was born on his estate. My father worked for his father. Please.
Very well. Come with me.
Thank you, lady.
All right. Herr Hauptmann? Where does one go for amusement in this place?
There isn't anywhere much.
Oh, come on. You've been enjoying yourself here while some of us have actually been fighting the war for you.
I didn't choose to come here instead of the Eastern Front von Bülow. I was sent here.
Damned hard on you. You know you missed some rare sport in Russia. Can't wait to get back there.
Yes. Yes, I'm sure.
You used to have a talent in Paris for finding amusing places. And amusing girls.
How good of you to say so.
Whatever happened to that gorgeous creature you were running around with in Paris? The doctor's daughter.
Her father was a communist, as I found out later. Obviously, I couldn't continue to see her.
No, indeed. They'd have found some dirty work for you in Smolensk, perhaps, instead of a peaceful spot like this.
You're a pig, von Bülow.
Let's go and find some girls.
You were never very good at finding your own, were you? It's all that Prussian charm, of course.
Let's go.
All right. I will show you the exquisite tedium of wartime Guernsey. It may hasten your return to Russia, with any luck.
I know you think I've got tuberculosis. Well, I haven't.
It's a very confident opinion.
I know a little about it. My father is a doctor. And I was, for a while, a medical student.
You're a doctor's daughter.
Why not?
I know it's none of my business, but why?
Why am I a whore? I make a lot of money.
Well, that's one answer, I suppose. It's not a very good one.
Money is important to those who once had it.
What happened?
My father is a well-known communist. When Paris fell, he had to get out. My mother was arrested and taken to Germany. We lost everything. And I had to fall for a German officer. Me.
What happened to him?
No, he ditched me. My own people ostracized me. I had no money, no family, no friends. So, here I am.
What this war does to people. It's very sad.
Not at all. They're lovely girls. Now, what do I owe you?
Take this to the hospital when you go for your x-ray. You do have a slight temperature.
I'm sorry, I thought
No,
you were
not at all. No, just finished. This is my daughter, Claire. Mademoiselle Lautrec.
Au revoir, Dr. Martel.
Au revoir.
I brought you some bandages from the hospital.
Did you pinch them again?
No, it's all right. They said I could have them. Now, who's that ravishing creature?
Chantal. One of my new customers from Ship Lane.
You mean she's one of those girls there?
Yeah. What's more, she's a doctor's daughter.
Well, well. Oh, that man of yours is a dark horse. He never told me he'd brought you here.
I'm sorry.
You must remember me. Manfred von Bülow. We met in Paris with Klaus Reinecker.
Oh, yes.
So, where are you living? Where's Reinecker hiding you?
Klaus? He's here in Guernsey.
You mean you didn't know?
Excuse me, please. I have business in here.
Veronica?
How's your head today?
You ask. I hold my liquor better than you do. My head's fine. How's yours?
Getting better. As you now see, there isn't much to do on this island except drink.
Oh, I think I've found a new activity for you, Reinecker. You're going to be very grateful to me.
If you're thinking of asking me to try out your battle course, I'd be most ungrateful. Especially today.
That doctor's daughter from Paris.
Chantal.
Oh, I'd forgotten her name. Chantal, yes. This morning I met her.
In Guernsey?
In the High Street. I spoke to her.
What was she doing?
She's going into the bank.
Where's she living?
She didn't say.
Which bank?
It was the Barclays Bank.
I am grateful to you, von Bülow. You're the manager?
Yes.
Do you have an account here for Mademoiselle Chantal Lautrec?
I'm sorry, I can't discuss clients' business with you.
Do you want me to make life very awkward for you? All I want to know is, does she have an account here?
She does.
Her address?
She lives in that house in Ship Lane.
What house?
That house that you people set up for your soldiers.
What does she do there?
Don't you know?
Chantal, there's a letter for you. Au revoir. Who's it from?
The man I was in love with once.
Are you going?
I don't know.
Who is this Klaus?
An SS officer. I met him in Paris.
You won't like what you're doing now.
Then I'll forget it.
No. No. He might cause trouble. We don't want that.
All right. I'll go. So I take the evening off?
Right. Be careful.
What do you want to drink?
Cognac, if they have any.
They will have for me. 2 cognacs, please.
You've been promoted.
Yes, Hauptmann.
Same rank now as Manfred.
Yes. Much to his disgust.
Does he know what I'm doing?
No, and he mustn't.
Prost.
What the hell do you think you're doing? A common soldier's whore.
Why should it bother you, Klaus?
Can't imagine. It's a nightmare.
Not for me. My nightmares happened in Paris, remember?
The Gestapo found out about your father. I was ordered not to see you again. I would have been court-martialed, imprisoned, probably. You would have been sent to a camp.
Like my mother?
I went round to her house to try and warn her. Terrible risk for me. She wouldn't even let me in.
Klaus, it was because you were part of it all. You still are. The new order. It's done wonders for us, hasn't it?
Don't talk like that.
Has it made you happy, Klaus?
I'm happy to serve my Führer and my fatherland.
Well, then you can't complain if I'm doing my bit, too.
You bitch! You dare to make an obscene
My
joke of mine!
hand, Klaus.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Thank you, madame. Is this a tradition of the house?
Oh, yes.
Very nice one, too, if I may say so. Cheers.
Santé.
I've seen everyone now except Mademoiselle Lautrec. Did she go to the hospital, do you know?
I'm not sure.
Where is she?
She's out. She's got a boyfriend.
She's got time for that?
I don't like it. He's an officer in the SS and they're trouble.
Yes, there aren't many of them on the island, thank God.
Klaus, something or other.
Klaus? In the SS? Not Reinecker.
Yes, I think that is his name.
Well, 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 I wouldn't have thought he was her type.
She knew him in Paris.
Really? Well, tell her to be here next time, eh?
I will. Au revoir, Doctor.
Had to go down to Ship Lane again today.
You shouldn't be doing the Germans' dirty work for them.
No option.
I think you rather enjoy going there.
Oh, I quite enjoy the old madame. She gives me a damn good cognac.
Did you see that girl? You know, the one who came here?
No, she was out with her boyfriend. Do you know who her boyfriend is, by the way?
Should I care?
Oh, jolly Roger Reinecker.
No.
Yes.
Here we are.
Oh, Peter, that's marvellous. Bless you. How much do we owe you?
Don't be silly.
Really?
Come in.
Fräulein Martel. Herr Portiers.
Yes?
A warning. My servant will be calling me at 3:30 a.m. tomorrow. So if you are awakened by jackboots clumping up and down your stairs, forgive the disturbance.
Don't worry, we're getting used to it.
And if you hear the sound of gunfire in the distance, do not be alarmed. It will not be one of your famous British commando raids. It'll be my battle school in action.
Are you expecting many casualties?
You are a lady with some spirit, Fräulein Martel.
Thank you. But I do not seek compliments from a Nazi.
A Nazi? I'm not a member of a political party.
What are you, then?
I'm a Prussian Junker, Fräulein Martel. A member of the military elite which has ruled Germany since Bismarck's day.
Well, you're not ruling it now. Our corporal is.
I admit that the Nazi party is composed largely of lower-class riffraff, but we share an aim. The expansion of the Greater German Reich and the defeat of Bolshevism. If that aim isn't met, we will supply different leaders.
Well, why did such superior gentlemen as yourself ever favour the Nazis?
They're politicians with a common touch. Because they themselves are common. We lack that common touch, I'm happy to say.
I think you're all as common as dirt.
What a pity you are so undiscerning, Fräulein Martel. I would have hoped for better from you.
Oh, these so discerning German officers. I bet that underneath all that Prussian superiority, you are no more discerning than Hauptmann Reinecker.
Reinecker?
Yes, he's the sort of man that would be a friend of yours.
I'm acquainted with him.
Did you know he was having an affair with one of those French girls in your brothel?
Claire? No.
Frightfully discerning of him, isn't it? Her name's Chantal. My father has to check her twice a week.
Indeed. Thank you for the information.
He's a pompous, arrogant bully.
I don't think you should have told him.
Hello, Reinecker. A drink?
Thank you.
Schnapps. Prost.
Prost.
I hear your little friend Chantal is working in the whorehouse. I must send my servant down there to see her. Poor old Klinsky doesn't get much fun. Should be quite a treat for him, don't you think? Our hosts have gone to bed, have they, Klinsky?
Yes, Herr Hauptmann.
Remember to call me at 03:30 hours.
Yes, Herr Hauptmann.
Poor Klinsky. You have a hard life, don't you?
It is not too bad, Herr Hauptmann.
I think you deserve a bit of fun.
If you say so, Herr Hauptmann.
I do indeed. And tomorrow you'll have some. I insist.
Thank you, Herr Hauptmann.
Do you know that house in Ship Lane? Hmm?
I have heard of it, Herr Hauptmann.
You go there tomorrow and ask for Chantal. She's beautiful. On me.
I do not go with women like that, Herr Hauptmann.
What's the matter with you? You a pervert or something?
I am not a ladies' man. They do not seem to care for me, Herr Hauptmann.
They will if you pay them, you fool. Here, take it.
Please, Herr Hauptmann, I do not want to do this. It would distress me if you gave me enough for a drop of schnapps.
You'll go to the house in Ship Lane, ask for Chantal, and then you'll report back to me and tell me all about it. Do you understand? Do you understand? That's an order.
Yes, Herr Hauptmann.
Where's the orderly?
I've no idea.
Tell me, Herr Major, who is responsible for that house in Ship Lane?
A difficult question, Reinecker. No one seems to want to admit responsibility.
Someone must be.
Well, frankly, I think we are. Why do you ask?
I gather that one or two of the girls there have rather unsatisfactory backgrounds.
I would have thought they all had very unsatisfactory backgrounds.
Politically, I mean.
You don't expect them to be paid-up members of the Nazi Party.
I believe that one or two of them have connections with the terrorists of the French underground. The soldiers who use the place will be in possession of defense secrets, and men will talk to these girls.
You think some of them are spies?
I think that one or two of them would be better out of the way. How would we remove them?
You better talk to Kluger about it. That's his job.
Your marriage.
Marriage? Who to? Told us.
No, he is handsome. Handsome as he is.
Oh, Chantal, there's a letter just come for you.
Please, I have to see Chantal.
Chantal?
You are Chantal?
Yes.
Please, we go upstairs, yes?
We go upstairs? No, I'm finished for the day.
No, you must come with me.
Let go! Ask the others.
I'm not going with him. No, thank you.
I do not want these women. It must be Chantal.
And what's wrong with us, huh? I'll tell you what's wrong with you, shall I? You're ugly, you're drunk, and you smell.
I wouldn't take you for £1,000,000 francs.
Tell Chantal she must...
The girls are entitled to say no if that's the way they feel. Come back another day, Fritz, and come back sober. We'll find a girl for you.
I'm going out, Lily.
Yes, we go now, eh?
Get away from me, you pig!
Let's get you
Come on, out!
She's a whore!
Get me out of that place.
Yes. Yes. Where do you want to go?
Find somewhere here. For us.
That's difficult. You're known on the island, Chantal. Von Bulow knows what you do.
He's leaving soon. He'll keep quiet.
He won't. He's gloating over the situation. Wants to humiliate me.
Do I stay where I
No,
am?
no,
then?
no, no. No, you must go.
Where to?
I'll get you back to France.
What will I do there?
Anything you like, as long as it isn't what you're doing now.
I see. You want to get rid of me. I've become an embarrassment to you. A German's whore.
Shut up.
But you made me one. Look at me, Klaus. You made me this.
Shut up!
You ruined my life.
Yes, and now you're trying to ruin mine.
Yes, and I will. I will. I'll tell every soldier who comes to that place that I'm Hauptmann Reineker's girl. That Klaus Reinecker put me on the game. And it's true.
You do that, Ned.
You'll what, Klaus?
Get out! Get out!
Thank you.
Kluger. Ah, yes, Dr. Martel. The island police have let me have their preliminary report. I have it in front of me now. I see that you identified the body. I'd be grateful if you'd come to call on me. No. After you've finished your autopsy report, Doctor. Thank you very much indeed.
Kluger, about these women in Ship Lane. I was talking to Meyer Friedel about them yesterday.
Yeah?
I've heard that one or two of them have connections with the French underground.
You've heard?
This is a very sensitive area, Kluger. They should be investigated. And if there are doubts about any of them, they should be deported to the mainland.
You give me something to go on, and I will investigate them. Meanwhile, I'm too busy to fool around with rumors.
That's not a very helpful attitude, Kluger.
Was one of these would-be Mataharis called Chantal Lautrec?
What makes you ask that?
If so, you can cross her off your list. She was stabbed to death last night.
Yes, I'm sure you must be very busy. I'll talk to you about it some other time.
All ready, Klinsky? Is the car ready, Klinsky?
Herr Hauptmann?
What's the matter with you this morning?
Nothing, Herr Hauptmann. Your car is ready.
About time. You don't look happy. Didn't you have a good time last night?
No, Herr Hauptmann.
Why not?
I'm afraid I got drunk, Herr Hauptmann. They threw me out of that place.
You idiot. Go back there tonight. Sober.
She was found about 6 a.m. this morning.
Correct, yes.
Can you tell me the approximate time of death?
Roughly between 9:30 and 10:30 last night.
And the cause of death?
A stab wound which ruptured the heart. There was an entry wound in the back here.
Are there any other marks on the body?
Yes, severe bruising across the larynx.
Oh. So, she could have been held from behind and stabbed up into the ribcage.
Yes?
It sounds like a soldier.
Why a soldier?
Well, they're trained to kill this way.
Ah.
Can you tell me anything else, Doctor, about the weapon? From the wounds, the shape, size, length?
Well, I'd say it was a fairly slim blade, approximately 10 inches long, 3/4 of an inch wide. A bayonet, perhaps?
Bayonets are wider. A dagger, perhaps. This, for instance. Here's officer's dress dagger, yeah? We wear these on special occasions. You can see how seldom I wear mine. Needs a good clean.
Yes, quite possible.
Can you tell me anything else, Doctor?
Yes, I'd got to know her a little. I understand she'd had some kind of a relationship with one of your officers here.
Do you know which officer?
Yes, Hauptmann Reinecker, apparently.
Reinecker?
They'd had some kind of affair in Paris before she became a prostitute. And they met again here quite recently.
We're closed. No respect, these people.
Kluger, Oberleutnant. I'm here to investigate the murder of Chantal Lautrec.
Poor Chantal. What kind of a pig would do a thing like that to her? One of yours, for certain.
Just tell me what happened here last night.
She had a note from the SS officer. That's what happened.
SS? Where is this note?
Do you know this man?
I'll keep this. What time did she leave here?
About 9 o'clock.
To meet this officer? Yeah. Can you tell me anything else that happened here last night?
No.
There was that drunk who came in asking for Chantal. We threw him out.
Did Chantal know this man?
No. We'd none of us ever seen him before.
And why did he ask for Chantal?
Someone must have told him about her.
Do you often get men here asking for girls they don't know?
Not often. Happens occasionally.
Who was the duty feldwebel outside last night?
The blonde one that looks like a turnip.
His name is Hans.
Fleischer, that's it. Hans Fleischer.
Thank you, ladies.
It's very unlike Reinecker to get involved in such a messy business.
I have established that he was the last person to see her alive. He is a Hauptsturmführer of the SS. I'm merely an Oberleutnant of the Wehrmacht. I must ask him some very tough questions.
And you'd prefer to question him in here?
Oh, yes, I would.
Very well, ask him to come in.
Sir. Sturmführer Reinecke. The Commandant will see us now.
Herr Major?
I'm told you knew this woman who was killed last night, Chantal Lautrec.
I was acquainted with her.
How long had you known her?
I met her shortly after we took Paris.
He was this woman's lover.
At one time in Paris, yes.
And now?
Well?
I could not forget what she had once meant to me.
It is obvious that she was an embarrassment to you. You were determined to get rid of her. You spoke to Meyer Friedel and to me about having some of these women deported. She was one of the ones you wanted deported, wasn't she?
I spoke to you about it after she had been killed.
What were you quarrelling about at the Mermaid Inn shortly before she was murdered?
About her way of life. I wanted her to leave the island immediately. Von Bülow had found out what she was doing and had threatened to send his servant down there, too.
To do what? What has von Bülow to do with this?
He met her in Paris with me. He saw her here and recognized her.
So this was an affair you couldn't hush up for much longer?
If he knew of this business, why did he not report it to me?
He was more concerned to degrade and humiliate a brother officer, Herr Major.
What possible
Herr
reason
Major.
could he have?
Excuse me, please. After the quarrel, the girl ran out from the bar. You paid the landlord and you left immediately after. Where did you go?
Back to my quarters.
Did anyone see you return?
I don't know. I can't remember.
And is that all you have to say?
I did not kill her, Herr Commandant.
Will you leave us, please, Oberleutnant?
Herr Major.
Please.
Sir.
I will not comment at this stage, Reinecke, on the propriety of your behavior. But for the time being, I order you to stay in your quarters, pending further investigations.
Am I under arrest, Herr Commandant?
Not yet. But I could put you under arrest for conduct unbecoming an officer and a gentleman. Just keep out of the way.
Hello, you were out early this morning?
Yes. Were you disturbed last night?
No.
Oh, I was. Heard someone banging around in the kitchen about 2 a.m. Thought he might be a burglar. I came down and found that wretched man Klinsky washing something in the sink.
Oh, I gave him permission to use it. He's up all hours washing things for our Prussian lodger.
Oh, but he was washing his own things. A tunic.
His tunic?
Yes. And...
What is it, Peter?
Oh, don't worry. I'll speak to von Bülow about it.
This is a wretched business, von Bülow. You should have reported it to me.
Telling tales is not my way, Herr Major.
It might have averted a tragedy.
For Reinecke.
For the girl.
You believe that Reinecke killed her?
He's at the SS. I deplore the SS. They're capable of anything.
Don't you think that your way, sending your servant to visit this girl, was a somewhat brutal method of expressing your disapproval?
Brutal? I'm a soldier, Major Richter. You gentlemen must have a drink with me. I got my movement order today. 396 is off to the Russian front next Thursday. Won't you join me for a drink?
Hauptmann von Bülow.
Herr Porteus?
I've got a complaint to make against your man Klinsky.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, I found him last night washing a tunic. It was soaked in blood. The sink was covered in it.
Blood, you say? His blood?
No. He didn't appear to be injured.
Where is he? Klinsky? I think he should hear this complaint. Klinsky!
Coming here, Hauptmann. Yes, Herr Hauptmann.
Herr Porteus complains that you were washing a blood-stained tunic in his sink last night.
I am sorry, Herr Hauptmann.
What the hell have you been doing? Explain yourself.
I am sorry, Herr Hauptmann. I should not have done it.
Done what? Where's my dagger, Klinsky?
You should not have sent me to that place, Herr Hauptmann. I did not want to go. I knew.
Well? It seems you're in the clear, Hauptsturmführer. Apart from the disgrace, that is, of course.
Disgrace?
Well, you won't live down this sordid little episode in a hurry, will you?
No?
No.
It is von Bülow who has behaved disgracefully. The girl is dead because of him.
You think so? Someone of your character would, of course.
You're a very stupid man, Kluger.
Reinecke, don't bother me with this. As far as I'm concerned, this case is closed. As to who is really guilty, you must work that out between yourselves.
Von Bülow will answer for it. Hauptmann von Bülow?
Ah, the gallant Reinecke. If you will give me the names of your seconds, Hauptsturmführer, mine will call on them at 10 o'clock tonight.
If you two young fools are thinking of fighting a duel, may I remind you that it's an offense under military law?
What?
Fire! I'm an officer and a gentleman. You are merely a bad shot. Come, gentlemen, we must be off to where the real war is, and the real soldiers are.
Where are you going?
I've got some tomatoes for French boat.
It's on the other side. This side is forbidden to enter. Did you not see the sign?
No.
Turn off your engine.
Get out.
Papers? You may continue.
Thank you.
Turn left at the end and go back the way you've come. Read the signs in future.
Until further orders, the number of foot patrols must be doubled. Their primary purpose must be the inspection of civilian identity papers. Random checks to be made on pedestrians and in buses, places of entertainment, including cafes and bars. Particular attention to be paid to young men between the ages of 18 to 30. Such men shall be instructed to remove their headgear, and any showing distinctive service haircuts will be brought in for further examination regardless of proof of identity. The possibility exists also that numbers of British sailors may be injured and in hiding. You are therefore ordered to draw up a plan for immediate random house-to-house search concentrating on coastal property. That is all. Show in Dr. Martell. Good morning.
Major.
Sit down, please. Pharmaceuticals this time. Anthracite last time.
Yeah. Cooking oil and flour before that. There's always something.
If your government in London ceased their attacks on merchant shipping carrying supplies, your own people might be better provided for. Had that occurred to you?
What must have occurred to my government in London, Major, is that some of the supplies on that shipping might not be destined for the civilian population.
2 nights ago, the lives of German sailors were put at risk.
2 nights ago, it wasn't your sailors who died.
I should tell you, Doctor, that unless these attacks cease, active consideration is being given to a reduction in the civilian ration.
Reprisals? You can't do that.
And what is it this time that we may not do?
I was explaining how the continued attacks on unarmed merchant vessels might affect supplies.
About which you are making constant representation.
Unarmed be damned. Word is you had a warship there.
Word is right, Doctor, for which one of your destroyers was sunk, but I would point out that they were the aggressors. Perhaps the Royal Navy will now leave well alone.
I doubt it.
Then you will suffer.
But you can't do that. You can't penalise us for something over which we have no control. Article 50 of the Hague Convention
If our
categorically
ships
states...
and the French ships carrying supplies are constantly attacked, those supplies will not be sent. There is no question of collective punishment. Do not spout articles and conventions at me. I have no need of such guidance.
No, that may well be true, but with respect, the phrase that Major Friedel used was, unless these attacks cease.
This is not the occasion for semantics, Doctor. You and I both know what we mean. But will General Major Miller...
Miller? I'm sorry?
A new Commander-in-Chief has been appointed to these islands.
General Major Miller commands the 319th Infantry Division. He is a keen horseman for an infantryman. His young officers have been known to complain of his rough, short ways with horses.
And conventions? Nevertheless, you can scarcely expect us to write a letter to His Majesty's government in London requesting that His Majesty's Navy desist from its warlike task.
All I ask, Doctor, in these difficult times is that you and your committee should sometimes temper your stridency.
You're not actually asking for sympathy, Major.
I have no need of sympathy. I would like understanding.
Yes, Major.
Major Friedel informs me you have some concern over medical supplies.
Yes, I do. I have a very great deal of concern. We're dangerously low over the whole range of vaccines and serum. We have no insulin and enough anaesthetic for only the most urgent operations. The population is wide open to infectious diseases. We have nothing to stop it, nothing to treat it. There might as well be no doctors on the island.
Is that the view of our own medical staff?
Well, they are not in disagreement, but equally they are not empowered to make up the deficiencies.
And if there should be an epidemic of some kind, what then?
We should have to treat our people.
But stupid, isn't it? You encourage a reservoir of infection to build up in the population through malnutrition and then refuse to do anything about it when it spills over.
That statement is both emotive and inexact.
Neither of which makes the outcome wrong.
The remedy is in your hands. The civil administration has a purchasing commission for trade with France. Buy what you need.
But someone would have to go to call on drug houses, probably Paris.
Someone who knows. A pharmacist or a medical man.
Well, yes.
You, Doctor?
Well, yes, I should need papers.
Your identity papers in French and German. Travel documents for occupied France. One guinea, 10 marks. Well, what about some cold cream for the complexion? She like that. It's almost the last jar.
What is the cost?
3 marks.
I will take.
Always looking for something for their Fräulein.
Is it really almost the last jar?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I better have one for my Fräulein then.
Yeah? 1 shilling.
What? Well, you charged him nearly £6.
6 and threepence, actually.
I did?
I used to sell those for 6pence.
Well, look, you hang on to it. Make some more profit out of them.
No, they're nearly all gone. Shan't get any more, you have it.
All right.
Ah, no, these are getting few and far between. Worth more than their face value now, you know.
It's all right. You did me a favour. Look, you couldn't develop a film for me, could you?
I don't do it now, Peter. Can't get hold of the paper or the chemicals.
These aren't holiday snaps, Mr. Rye. It's important and urgent.
Come come in the back.
You're sure he'll come, Ruth?
Yes, same day every month. He'll come, Miss Clare.
And you won't mind?
Mind? You'll welcome the opportunity.
Doesn't your sister ever worry?
What is there to worry about? They know the country and the Germans don't.
Well, how will you get it to him?
There's a bar down by the harbour. You isn't supposed to come ashore, but I've met him there before.
Fat Molly's?
Yes.
Well, really, Ruth, it's a dreadful place.
It's all right. As long as you don't go upstairs.
Is this the ship that sank our destroyer?
Yes, it's an Elbing-class torpedo boat.
Doesn't look very big.
Well, the harbour master says it's about 1,200 tons, with the teeth of a shark. It's got 4 4.1-inch guns and 2 triple 21-inch torpedo tubes. She's reputed to have a speed of about 35 knots and is also a mine layer. She's very new.
I want to ask you what you're going to do with this.
No, best not.
Out. Identity card. Take off your hat. You can go.
I'm afraid it isn't Darjeeling.
No, it isn't even tea. Well, I'm sure it'll be very refreshing.
Well, it's better than substitute coffee, anyway.
Do I detect an aroma of the St. Saviour blackberry leaf?
Highly esteemed by the connoisseurs.
Well, it may be a boring and difficult time for us, but it isn't dangerous. I keep thinking of people with sons and daughters away somewhere, just fearing to hear the worst all the time. Parents of all those men on that destroyer.
I believe many of them were picked up. Some of them were picked up. How's Clive?
Oh, still in off flag 9A Spangenberg. All right. Where he was 4 months ago.
Oh, I'm sure he is still. He's a sensible boy, very responsible, I've always thought, inside.
A bit like his father.
Very like his father. They're all like their fathers. Well, I see you've got a fine lot of work for me there.
I'm afraid 1 or 2 are the worse for wear. They won't unpick too well.
Oh, the Children's Emergency Bureau are thankful to get any wool. I don't suppose it'll matter if there are some knots.
No.
That's fine.
After all, this is a proclamation from the military commander in France. Is it not clear enough?
I'm not sure General Stulpnagel intends that to be mandatory on you, Herr Commandant.
No. Any person involved in such an act, either as perpetrator, participant, or instigator, will, upon conviction, be condemned to death. Does that sound ambiguous to you? Will General-Major Müller feel it to be mandatory upon him?
Well, put like that.
Put like that or any other way, I think he will.
It does say upon conviction, Herr Major.
Otto the Führer, in his wisdom, determined to make this island of ours a fortress, an impregnable fortress. Army Group D have sent General-Major Müller in charge of the 319th to accomplish it. He has designated much of the north coast to be a defence area and therefore a prohibited zone. Notices are posted everywhere, and yet 2 boys with a camera are caught near the MP2 forward observation positions.
With respect, Herr Major, that does not establish a prima facie case of spying.
Have you seen the photographs?
I believe they've not yet been developed.
Then you believe wrongly, Oberleutnant. The Radetzky field gun battery, the Perleberg 3.7 centimetre flak emplacement, the Reichenberg 10.5 centimetre artillery casement, the Steinbrück Navy battery. No prima facie case?
I accept that there is, Herr Major.
And so will General-Major Müller, will, upon conviction, be condemned to death. 2 16-year-old boys.
They have not yet been charged, Herr Commandant.
Then see that they are.
With spying?
With disobeying orders of the military government. See that there's a destroyed auto immediately, and the negatives.
This Francois, is he trustworthy?
Of course he's trustworthy. He's a maquisard.
Well, some of those resistance people are pretty odd.
Is fighting for freedom so odd?
You know what I mean. Unstable, undependable, that sort of thing.
Well, he's hardly likely to do anything to get his own wife's sister into trouble now, is he? Anyway, there's no alternative. What do you think they'll do?
What our people will do? Well, I hope the RAF will bomb it to smithereens. A, it sank one of our destroyers, and B, it may cause Jerry to think twice about establishing a permanent base here. I mean, the harbour master told me he'd already had several Kriegsmarine survey teams round. Well, a few more fast torpedo boats like this one, and the Channel convoys would cease to exist.
Hello.
Hello, Daddy.
What's going on? Protest meeting? What the hell's all this?
A bit of amateur intelligence work.
Looks rather expert to me, Peter.
That's what one does one's best.
Does one's best to do what? Get yourself shot? Get this stuff out of my house, my lad, will you?
Afraid of being compromised, Daddy?
Compromised? Do you mean embarrassed or dead?
Look, if we're just going to allow ourselves to be...
No, I want to know. Do you include the possibility of actually forfeiting your life when you say that?
But you don't actually think
No,
of it.
well, you may not, but I certainly do. And not just on your account or on my account either.
I know on Mummy's.
Yes, you are absolutely right. And don't you forget it. There is your brother rotting away in some prisoner of war camp, me trying to duck bricks from the Germans, as well as our own people, and the family to feed. And don't you think that's enough for one person to have to worry about? Surely to God, you know what I'm talking about, don't you, Peter?
Ouch.
Oh, well, he's right. Look, Ruth says that after tonight, Francois won't be back for another month.
Then it's tonight. What time's he coming?
He told Ruth he'd get there as soon after opening as he could, and stay for about 30 minutes.
Well, that's not very long.
Well, the longer he stays, the more chance of a patrol picking him up on the way back to the boat.
That's all right. Well, the pub's only open for 2 hours, and they close half an hour before curfew. That's 9:30. He'll probably be there between 7:30 and 8. Well, Fat Wallace can be pretty rowdy. I'll escort Ruth.
Yeah.
We'll try and be there about 7:45. Yeah, well, better go mend some fences with your father.
This damn wood's too green.
Well, I got some sacks of dry stuff I can let you have.
Oh, it's you. At least if it doesn't burn, it lasts longer. It doesn't give off much heat, either.
Look, sir, I wouldn't worry too much about Claire if I was you.
Oh, wouldn't you?
What I mean is...
What you mean is I shouldn't worry about her because she's not actually involved in something I would worry about? Or because you're a decent sort of chap who doesn't like his friends to be unhappy?
Well, you got me in a bit of a corner there, haven't you?
Yes, I know the feeling. Look, Peter, it is not just us, the family. I do have to take into consideration my official position. Oh, God, that sounds stuffy, but you know what I mean, don't you? I mean, as a member of the controlling committee, I do have certain obligations. But damn it, I don't have to apologize for it. I have to think of the public good. I spent half my life down at their blasted commandantur arguing about calorie levels, protein deficiency, skim milk versus whole milk for expectant mothers, how long each day the gas and electricity supplies have to be cut off, how many bicycles have to be commandeered, who doesn't get what, when, and how often. And I'm fed up with it. But somebody's got to do it, and there aren't too many of us around who can. Now, I have cultivated a correct and reasonably productive relationship with Richter and Friedel and the rest of them, and that is the best I can do for the community. Now, if Claire or anyone else I'm close to gets caught in some short-sighted act of devil-may-care, then that whole blinking lot goes for a Burton.
Yes.
There should be half a bottle of old wine in that cupboard.
Later on, I might take one of your
Hey, you.
Is that mine? It's Maureen to you, Fritz.
Cognac.
Sure isn't the stuff nearly all gone? And I'm thinking you've had more than enough by the luck of you.
Get some more.
It's only 3/4 of an hour to closing time.
He said he'd be here as soon as possible.
Have another one.
Oh, no, sir.
It'll look fishy if we don't, and it's Peter, not Sir.
How are you, busy?
And let that be your last now. Well now, Mr. Porteous.
Another Dubonnet and a beer, please, Maureen.
It'll be a pleasure.
Where's your mother?
She'll be down in a while.
It's all right, is it?
Molly's just fine. It's himself I'm worried about.
Himself?
The skipper of the French boat that's in. Molly's sure he's a case or two of brandy stashed away and she's after liberating it.
Poor fellow.
I'm sorry them bastards sunk one of your destroyers a couple of nights ago.
Yes, well, it's war, isn't it?
Well, as a good neutral, I hope they pay for it. Next time you've a couple of hen's eggs, think of Molly and me.
Thanks, Maureen.
That is mine.
You haven't paid for your drink. Will you let go, me Anne?
You did not take his money. For him, it is free.
But it isn't for you.
Comrades.
This plane that delivers supplies for the Maquis, how often does it come?
Francois won't speak about it. All he said once was that he could get a message to England by... It had a funny Greek name.
Lysander.
Yes. Francois.
It's inside.
Francois, this is a friend, Mr. Porteous.
Peter Porteous. I know all about you. Ruth will explain. Can I get you a drink?
A glass of wine, monsieur.
Maureen. Glass of Burgundy, please.
You! Buy me cognac.
No, I'm sorry. Civilians are not permitted to buy spirits.
Go on back to your ship, Fritz. You've had too much.
You do not call me Fritz.
I'll call you what I like.
Let's get out, Hans.
That's right. You take Hans Sneeze and Bumpsy Daisy back to his hammock.
You fat English pig.
Don't you bloody call me English, Adolf!
What is going on? Mr. Porteous. Not in trouble, I hope.
No, this man fell off his stool. I was just helping him.
You're from the torpedo boat?
Yes, Harbour Lieutenant.
Get back there.
Yes, Harbour Lieutenant.
You. Wait. Now, Mr. Porteous, perhaps you'll be kind enough to tell me what is going on.
I absolutely knocked the wind out of my sails.
I'd love to have seen your face.
You know, that Major Friedel's a wily cove. He just sits there, impassive as Aunt Maud's cat. Waiting till you've said too much, and then he just pulls the rug out from under your feet. Thanks.
As well as taking the wind out of your sails?
Yeah, and knocking me down with a feather. Don't forget the feather.
You sure this is going to be all right, Philip?
Oh, of course it is. Cinnamon stops vomiting.
I haven't started.
Well, just wait till you've had some. Pinch of cinnamon, 1 second, et voilà. Le Malbine. Well, at least it's warming.
There's no good Lord. Never mind. Get your hands
It seems, Mr. Porteous, that you have a talent for finding trouble.
As I said, it was an accident.
Well, none of us seek for trouble, Mr. Porteous. When we find it, it is always an accident, yes?
You are a philosopher, Oberleutnant.
A good definition of a policeman.
Oberleutnant.
François Duval.
Yes?
French citizen. From the SS Normand, yes?
Yes.
Your landing permit?
I do not have one.
Not have one? It is not permitted for non-registered foreigners to set foot on the island.
My ship comes here regularly.
Giving you an opportunity for illicit trading, no doubt.
No, I am here for a drink in a harbour bar, that is all. That
It's
can be no
not
harm.
permitted. Turn out your pockets. papers are in order?
Yes, Herr Oberleutnant.
Dismiss them.
It is now closed.
You. Are you with this man?
No.
All right, you may go. And you, Mr. Porteous, you may go too. Mr. Porteous! Watch out for accidents. Put these back. I'm taking it to military headquarters.
Is it true?
Why should Kluger lie about it?
Then it is true.
Your reasoning does you credit, Reinecker.
It is a disgrace.
Tell him that.
It is, or should be, your responsibility.
So, it is not the Commandant you're criticizing.
These men are spies and they are civilians. It is not a matter for the military commander, it is a matter for you.
Listen, Reinecker, the reason I am here is because the Wehrmacht commander is here, not the other way around.
It is Field Command 515 which represents the German military government, not the Wehrmacht. And as such, threats to security are your concern, or should be.
Meyer, Richter and I have to work together. We have a unity of purpose. It would not make sense for us to compete over matters of jurisdiction. Anyway, there's no question of disagreement. I would have done the same.
Such leniency is an encouragement to subversion.
Oh, Reinecker, come on. These men, as you call them, are boys of 16. Engaged on a dangerous prank, merely.
I have seen the photographs these boys took. Such information in the hands of the enemy would be of grave consequence.
And how was this material of such grave consequence to be conveyed to the enemy?
That is beside the point.
Nothing is beside the point when one administers occupied territory. Just thank God you don't have to. Will it assist the military governor in France if civil unrest breaks out in these islands because we start shooting juveniles caught out in some youthful folly? Will Berlin think any the better of us for
General Stuppnagel has
I know
specifically
what
said that...
General Stuppnagel said. It is not a question of ignoring instructions from High Command. It is a matter of interpreting them sensibly.
A dangerous responsibility to assume.
Dangerous? In what way? For whom?
I meant should things turn out not as calculated.
I hope that is what you meant.
If I see things happening which should not be happening, I have a duty.
Reinecker, the SS is an elite corps with special privileges and responsibilities. I hope you consider loyalty to your immediate colleagues to be numbered among them.
Bring him in. So, Francois Duval, does your ship come here regularly?
Yes.
At what intervals?
Once a month.
And do you every time break the regulations by coming ashore? Well, do you?
I have done.
I'm sure you have. Fat Molly, she's a good port in a storm. Well, is she? I thought so. You sailors are all the same. You know it is forbidden to come ashore.
Yes.
And yet you do it. Are you the only one who breaks the regulations, or are there others?
Others do it. Nobody stops us.
Then I must stop you, mustn't I? A few days in jail will perhaps deter you and your comrades from breaking the regulations.
It will cost me my job if you send me to prison.
So what?
I am the quartermaster. It would hold up the ship until they had found another helmsman.
You people who break the law are all the same, aren't you? The penalty is always too great. It's all right for others, but not for you, isn't that so? It's just as well for you I didn't catch you trading in black market goods. All right. This time I'll let you go. Next time you won't be so lucky. Take him back to his ship.
Yes, Herr Oberleutnant. Come.
Duval. Are you married?
I am, yes.
Your wife should thank me for keeping you out of that place.
I hoped you might still be here.
We took nobody. Well, no English sailors at any rate, only one Frenchman.
A French sailor?
Yes. But not a marine de guerre, marine marchande.
I see.
Is there something, Herr Major?
Why did you not do as the Commandant asked, Kluger?
In what respect, Herr Major?
Major Richter commanded you to destroy those photographs immediately.
Yes, he did. And that is what I did.
But not before Reinecker saw them.
I left the photographs on my desk while I went to get the negatives. We share an office. It's very difficult.
But you discussed the matter with him.
I could not do otherwise. He asked me about the photographs. I could not refuse. I could not. To refuse to discuss such a subject with an SS officer would be taken badly, very badly.
The situation should never have arisen.
Reinecker made no comment to me about the Commandant's decision.
He has to me.
Unfavorably?
Very.
Does it matter?
Depends if he keeps it to himself.
I thought the Commandant's decision very realistic.
The Commandant's powers are, like mine, those of an envoy rather than plenipotentiary. We do not have full independent powers on this small island of ours.
Does that matter?
It would if other people in other places disagreed with our policy.
Is that a possibility?
Everything's a possibility.
Probability, then.
As the war goes on longer, the mood gets harder and room for compassion smaller.
Major, I'm sorry about the photographs.
Can't be helped. You know the Fuhrer intends to turn our island into a fortress.
Yes, so the Commandant was saying.
He intends that St. Peter Port shall be developed as a base for torpedo boats and U-boats.
Nobody offered me a warming bedtime drink.
Your father thought that someone ought to be left behind to make the burial arrangements.
Olive?
Yes?
I need these.
Yes.
I can't wear them like this.
Well, I have darned them.
With blue wool.
Yes?
They're grey socks.
Well, blue darning wool's all I had left anyway. They won't show.
Just don't take your shoes off, Daddy.
Well, I don't know. My first trip to France since war broke out and I've got to go in multicoloured socks.
Poor darling.
If that's an emergency, I'm on the boat.
Peter, come in.
Look, I'm terribly sorry, but I'm afraid I won't make it back before curfew.
Oh, sure. Well, you've got to stay here, of course.
Well, I'll quite happily curl up on a chair.
You do nothing of the kind. You can sleep in Clive's room.
Oh, no,
good idea.
No, not another word. I'll go and get the sheets.
Well, I don't want to put you
No
out.
problem at all. Do shut up. What happened? Out late with some floozy?
Well, I don't care.
Yes, actually, it's your Ruth.
Ah, Ruth Morris?
Yes, there was a spot of bother at Molly's bar, so I escorted her home.
You were at Fat Molly's with our maidservant?
Oh, Daddy, don't be so stuffy. He's only young once.
She was meeting her sister's husband, who works on the normal.
Oh, really? I'm due to go to France on her tomorrow in multicoloured socks.
What? Oh, I see.
Well, I hope nobody else does.
Yeah. Anyway, so I saw her. That's all I had.
Isn't her brother-in-law French?
Yes, he is.
Thought the Germans had cracked down on foreign crews coming ashore.
Yes, well, that was partly what all the fuss was about.
Oh, was it? I see, yes. Well, I better go and put a few things together, hadn't I?
Night, Daddy.
See you in the morning.
Night, sir.
Better watch him, you know. I'd hate to lose a maidservant.
I think you had him worried for a moment. What sort of trouble?
Oh, the Germans have got patrols out everywhere. They must think that some of our fellows got ashore the other night. Kluger walked in just after Francois arrived.
Oh.
He asked to see everyone's papers. Of course, Francois didn't have the right one, so they searched him.
What, did they find the envelope?
No. She's a good girl, that Ruth. She'd already passed it to him, but got it back right underneath Kluger's nose.
Oh, well, I hope he doesn't get into trouble.
No, I don't think so. They marched him off to the commander tour, but I hung around outside and saw him go back to the harbour. I mean, that's why I'm so late.
Look, if Francois is back on the boat, then we...
Chloral hydrate. Hyoscine hydrobrom. Cotton wool? Yes, cotton wool.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir.
Hello, you're an early bird.
I'll come back later.
No, it's all right. I'm just off.
Sir, I hear you're going to France.
Catgut. Yes,
On
that's
the
right.
Normand. I wanted to ask a favour. I wondered if you'd give this note to someone to give to my brother-in-law, Francois. Any of the crew will know him. He's a quartermaster.
Oh, yes, you had a spot of bother last night, didn't you?
And I didn't get a chance to give it to him.
Not assisting in smuggling currency, I hope.
Philip, breakfast. Yeah, this should be on fried bread, but I'm afraid that fat wasn't thrown to it.
Oh, it looks lovely.
Olive, did you pack my razor?
Yes, I did.
Thank you.
Well, now, what do you all want me to bring back from Paris? Scent? Chocolates?
Silk stockings.
Yeah.
Just yourself.
Oh, no problem about that. Bad pennies always come back.
Yes, where are you going?
SS Normand for Granville.
Your card of identity and travel authorization. You have luggage?
Yes, a case in the boot.
Open it. You have a permit to use this?
Yes, of course. I'm on official government business. There's only a change of clothing in there.
Yes, yes. Open it. What is that?
Oh, that's just a letter for a friend.
It is forbidden to carry letters abroad.
Yes, I know that perfectly well. I was just...
It is evasion of censorship regulations.
That is for someone on a boat.
It is forbidden.
This is the fast torpedo boat Wotan.
Yes, it is, Hauptsturmführer.
Was this taken before or after the attack on the British destroyers, can you tell?
I think after, Hauptsturmführer. I've been on duty both times she was loading torpedoes. The first time before the attack, she was low in the water. But here, she's riding high. It is since the attack.
You're sure?
Yes, I'm sure.
Then it was yesterday or the day before?
I think it was yesterday, Hauptsturmführer.
Why, Gefreiter?
It is not certain.
Tell me what you think.
Yesterday in the morning when she was loading torpedoes, a civilian lorry drove near to the basin.
It is forbidden. Strictly.
Yes, Herr Oberleutnant. The driver had missed his way. He was looking for the freight ship.
Was there a name on this lorry?
No, Hauptsturmführer. But I did stop it, and I inspected the papers of the driver.
And you logged this incident?
Oh, yes, he's a farmer from St. Saviour. His name is Porteus.
Remain outside. Well, Kluge, I think your day has come. Go and pick him up.
Very well, Hauptsturmführer.
And look for the camera.
Of course.
Send Martel in. Sit down. Sit down. In August, we shot a man for releasing a carrier pigeon with a message for England.
Should have shot the pigeon, shouldn't you? I'm not a spy.
And perhaps you were the pigeon. Who gave you a message? Released you? Hmm? Then you are the spy.
Damn these people. They make clemency a vice. One conspires as a simple act of humanity to turn a blind eye to deliberate acts of espionage.
They were only 16.
Old enough in Russia to die.
You were right, Dieter.
Was I? I wonder. Müller would think not.
General Meyer Müller and the 319th have come, and they will go.
And in the meantime, Dr. Martel is not a 16-year-old boy.
I think it's disgraceful the way you burst into people's houses.
It is not an aspect of police work I enjoy, Mrs. Porteous. I never have. But we do not initiate. We respond.
And you're responding to what exactly? To some beastly tittle-tattle. My son has done nothing.
Your protestations are very convincing, Mrs. Porteous. But then, of course, they always have been. I must detain your son for further questioning, Mrs. Porteous.
You're arresting him?
I am.
For what offence?
For acts in breach of paragraph 384, section 8 of the Hague Convention, requiring citizens of occupied territories to refrain from acts prejudicial to the occupying powers. In this case, spying. Come.
Mummy, it'll be all right. They'll let him go. They won't do anything.
How can you say that?
Because he's not a spy, and they'll believe him. Or they couldn't not believe him.
However could Ruth do such a thing?
Because I asked her to.
But it has your name on it.
I have never met him.
Then why should he have a message for you?
I do not know.
And such an incriminating message. It will go hard on you, I think.
There has been some mistake.
We have him downstairs. I know this man.
His name is Francois Duval.
Yes, I know. Improperly ashore last night in Fat Molly's bar from the SS Normand. Porteous was there. And a girl. A young girl at your table. I know this girl, yes. When we went to the Martel's house with the commandant, do you remember when we had the information that Martel's son was on the island? The girl is Martel's maid.
What are you waiting for, Oberleutnant?
Dr. Martel's house.
Hello, Claire.
Yes?
The Germans have been. They've taken Peter.
When? When did they?
They've just gone. They searched Peter's room and took him away.
I'll ask Mummy if she can come over.
Do you think she'd mind? I'm terribly worried.
No, of course she won't mind. Look, please don't worry. I'm sure it'll be all right.
Thank you, Claire.
Yes. Bye. That was Helen.
Yes?
They've arrested Peter.
Oh, my God.
Well, I couldn't tell her about Daddy.
No. No, I'll go over.
Yes, she'd like you to.
Who are you phoning, Claire?
The Germans.
Why, Claire?
To tell them it was me.
You can't.
They've got Daddy. Now Peter, and they will get Ruth. The Commandante, please.
Did you not know she was involved?
She doesn't know what she's saying.
I believe she knows exactly what she's saying. This is appalling. Deliberate hostility aimed at the occupying power. General Stuttnagel has warned of the consequences of such actions, and the new Commander-in-Chief will not hesitate to interpret his proclamation to the letter. You and I and the Feldkommandant are the prisoners of an act of utter irresponsibility from which no one can profit. I have done my best, Major. Friedel has done his best to ease for you the misfortunes of war, and our concern is thrown in our faces.
She's here.
My daughter?
Sit down, Dr. Martel.
Do you wish me to go, Herr Commandant?
No, stay. When we first met in your father's house in the summer of 1940, your mother said to me, Major Richter, you will forgive my daughter her bad manners. For what? Do you remember?
For saying I wanted to be any damn where you were not.
It is courtesy which, in the circumstances, I could find wholly understandable. War is not a courteous business. But the war is being fought elsewhere. Not here. Not on these islands, not on Guernsey.
We are at war.
War is a state of conflict carried on by arms. You have none.
War can be a state of mind.
One not conducive to survival. You cannot win if you do not survive. What did you hope to accomplish with this? Air attack by the RAF? Let me tell you what would happen. The harbour is heavily defended by flak batteries. Here, on Albert Pier, Victoria Pier, St. Julian Pier, and here in Castle Cornet. Your aircraft will fly high to avoid the flak. Some of the bombs will miss their target. Innocent people will be killed. And perhaps one torpedo boat will be sunk. For such an achievement, you're prepared to sacrifice the lives of 5 people. Your own, Mr. Porteous, the Frenchman, your maidservant, and your father. War is for professionals, Miss Martell, not for enthusiasts.
It was only me and Peter, not the others.
You are all implicated.
My father
in
didn't even
actions
know.
For which the penalty must be death.
Do I tell HQ?
If you do, the result is a foregone conclusion.
You may not proceed with those charges unless you do.
I'm aware of that.
Then if you do not wish for 5 executions, there is only one thing to do.
That's one so.
For violation of regulations relating to censorship, you are hereby sentenced to 6 months' detention to be served in the Cherche-Midi prison in France. Do you wish to say anything?
Thank you, Major.
You may go.
Porteous.
For violation of regulations relating to prohibited zones, you are hereby sentenced to 12 months' detention to be served in the Cherche-Midi prison in France. Do you wish to say anything?
No, Major.
You may go.
One so.
I regret, Miss Martell, that I can find no charge against you, save one. And in the wider interests of the occupying power, I decline to pursue that issue further. You may go. You may go! I suppose you could call it the judgment of Solomon.